how to form strategic goals you will actually hit. I think we all love hitting our goals, don't we? So let's get into it. So what's the next half an hour going to be like? Well, we're going to have a bit of an introduction, a bit of a preamble, and then we will talk about two frameworks. The first of which is called a now, where, how construct. I'm all for structure, for frameworks. They help with strategic thinking. I'm just going to let someone else in. Rob, yep, no, not a problem, Rob. Thanks for that. And then we will talk about another framework which is connected to the first one. It's called a BSQ goals framework. And finally, we will have a little bit of a Q&A, because these sessions are shorter in nature. We can't have a detailed Q&A, but I'm very happy to welcome questions. Okay. Now, all right, a little bit about me. Those who have attended these webinars or know me well enough will already be familiar with this. But look, I came to Australia about 12 years ago to do an MBA from the Melbourne Business School in Marketing and Strategy. Melbourne Business School is one of the best business schools in the world, highly recommended. Following which I worked in the corporate side of stuff. I started off working at Census, worked there for a number of years. I headed their segment strategy function, did more of the same at AGL, the energy company. Following which I said, look, I can't handle this corporate circus anymore. I'm going to do my own thing. So I started Business Nirvana about 4 years ago, which is what I'm doing currently as well. I had the pleasure of serving on the Multicultural Business Ministerial Council. So as part of the council, I advised the Small Business Minister of Victoria on all small business matters. I also served as a judge on the 2019 Whitehorse Business Awards. Highly recommended if you are in the Whitehorse area. Okay, and last year, December, I made the cut for selected to speak at TEDx. It was meant to happen on the 23rd of May, but it's now been postponed to December. We all know why. Thanks to the whole COVID-19 phenomenon, everything's sort of up in the air with a few things. But hey, we're doing this, which is great. Lovely to see you all in the online forum. Okay, now, I'm going to start with a quote my mother introduced me to many, many years ago when I was at school. My mother's an English teacher, so which makes sense. She loves her proverbs and quotes. The heights by great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upward in the night, by H.W. Longfellow. If I had the permission to edit it, I would probably change it to heights by great people. But the message is the same. All right, let me take you to the events of the 29th of May, 1953. I want you to look at two pictures very carefully, first of which is this one. I'll give you a few seconds just to absorb it in. And then I want you to have a look at this one. Okay. And then I'm going to ask you a question, and I might unmute you guys briefly as well. The question is, what is the difference between the two pictures? So I'm going to put it up again. What is the difference between the two pictures? Does anyone want to have a go? I'm unmuting all of you, so jump in. You guys.
Achievement, I think.
Oh,
Achievement?
One is happy, other is sad.
One is happy, other is sad. Okay.
So success is against failure.
Success is against failure. Sure. Okay.
I think the first one is taken before they reach the peak, and the top one is when they reach the peak or after they.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay.
The
All right.
two different
They
teams
tired.
that had a
They
crash.
tired. Taking rest or taking break.
No, don't do that.
Okay. All right.
Can I have one, Suram?
Yes, absolutely.
I actually think that the one on the bottom of the actual two climbers who were going to go before Edmund Hillary and Tenzing, and they used a different oxygen system, and they failed 100 meters before they got there.
And so who's speaking?
Rob.
Rob, good on you, Rob. If I had virtual chocolates, I would give them to you. But yeah, so this is a very interesting story and not very commonly told. So I'm just going to mute you guys back. And I'll get back into it. So Rob, thanks for that. So the difference between the two pictures, and I'll get to this, and this is a very interesting story. The two people here are Tom Bordillon and Charles Evans, also known as Team 1. Now, they were tasked with climbing Everest first as part of the 1953 Everest expedition. Okay. More famous names, Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay, were actually Team 2. They were only meant to climb Everest if Team 1 failed, if they couldn't get to the summit. Now, they used, Tom Bordillon and Charles Evans used a different oxygen system to the ones Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay used. And Tom and Charles had to stop and return from the summit a heartbreaking 91 meters, but we'll go with 100 meters, okay? So the difference between the two pictures actually is just a mere 100 meters, okay? Approximately 100 meters is the difference between those two pictures. 100 meters? Hang on, isn't that what Usain Bolt made a whole livelihood out of, right? He's famous for 100 meters, right? That's his goal. The goal here was to scale Everest. The point is, be it 100 meters or 8,848 meters, in goal attainment, every meter matters, okay? So when I attain a goal, every little thing matters. So now we'll get into, that was a little, the preamble, the introduction to this whole thing. Now we're going to get into the constructs that will help us not only set goals, but get goals as well. Okay, now where, how? Again, a construct maybe that you're familiar with, but bear with me as we go through it. Let's say that you are tasked with going to the supermarket to get some toilet rolls, because guess what? There isn't enough of them. So your starting point is your home and your destination is the shopping center, okay? The next question we ask is, well, how do we get from our home to the shopping center? The how? The how could be, hey, should I take a car? Should I go by bus? Should I go by train? Which route should I take? Should I take the shortest one? Or actually, do I feel like going down the scenic route? It's slightly longer. Oh, hang on, I don't know, I'm cash strapped. I don't want to go through the toll route. I'll go with the toll-free route. Which route do I take? And how do I actually use the navigation? Do I go via GPS? Do I tell it where to go? Or do I use a map? Or do I just wing it because I kind of know, you know, I know the way. Okay. All of this becomes the how. Now imagine if your destination was a bit fuzzy, if it was unclear, what would an unclear goal or a destination do to the how? That would make it fuzzy too, right? Because you don't know where you're going. Let's get back to this screen. You have a very clear destination, say. You put in Tunstall Square, Coles Shopping Centre, Donvale. Okay, that's a specific goal. That's a really specific destination. You all heard, I'm guessing, of the SMART goal framework, which is great. We're not going to talk much about SMART. Okay, SMART goals have been there, and you know, and they're great. Every goal needs to be SMART for sure, but setting a SMART goal doesn't guarantee you getting it, which is what today's about. So, a specific goal, specific address will make sure that your how is crystal clear. If your destination is clear, your how will also be very clear. Okay, that's one of the big takeaways. But the problem that happens is when we think about the where, when we want to think about destinations, we are already thinking about the how. So we don't even wait for the destination to crystallize. We don't wait for it to get clear. Our eyes are already on the how. And without waiting for the destination to be clear, we get into how mode. Okay? And that is one of the problems. So always start with the current starting point now. What is the current state? Then go to what is the desired state. And once you establish current state and desired state, only then should you start thinking about what strategy will I or we employ to get to the desired state? Resist the temptation to get into how mode. Get the where crystal clear first. Okay? Crystal clear. Not clear as mud. Crystal clear. Okay, let's see how this plays out. So if you, from a business perspective, which is what I mostly do, you need to capture the status quo. And you need to use certain parameters for this. What are our financial metrics? Okay, how much revenue is the business making now? Okay, who is our target market now? Current target market. What products or services do we do now? How are we priced currently? Capture that first. Capture the status quo. And then using the same parameters, okay, it has to be apples and apples. Using the same parameters, you then paint the where, the desired state. What revenue do I desire in a certain point in the future, which you define? Okay, mostly it's 12 months, but you can use any time frame you want. How am I going to price myself in the future? And then once you get the now and the where down pat, you then get into how mode. Okay, what are the top strategic actions for the next 12 months? What do I need to do to get me from now to where? So let's further explore this. From a business perspective, if you're thinking, how many high quality leads are coming in every month currently? Okay, how many contacts on the database do I have currently? What number of new customers am I generating every month currently? Okay, on the same parameters, then you replace current with desired. How many new customers per month do I desire in the next 12 months? What is my desired number of high quality leads? Okay, how many contacts on the database do I desire? So now and where? And once you do that, you then get into the how, which from a business perspective, from a marketing hat on, it goes into marketing strategy. And this is an actual slide from one of my clients. So I'm going to use some real examples as well to help you cement the frameworks. Okay. So now here's a little bit of an exercise. I'm going to give you a choice. Now goals aren't business only. Okay, they're not limited to the business world. We have a lot of personal goals. Sometimes they overlap. So I'm going to give you a choice here. Give you two exercises and you pick what you want. If you want to put on sort of a business hat on, then I encourage you to do this one. What are the current number of new customers per month that my business generates? And then in 12 months, where do I want to be? In 12 months, how many new customers per month do I want to generate? And how am I going to get there? So maybe just put in one how, just because it's a 2-minute activity, really. If you don't want to do the business side of stuff, think from a personal perspective. Think of the topmost thing on your personal wish list, and then assess the current state of affairs. Then look into your little crystal ball from a 12-month perspective and think, okay, where do I want that to be? The same thing on your personal wish list, the topmost thing, and then you devise a personal strategy to get there. Okay, so I'll give you a couple of minutes, have a go, and then maybe we'll have a look if someone wants to share something. Do you guys want to see the slide again? I'll just show you the slides again. So this is the personal one. And this is the business one. Okay. Current number of new customers, desired number of new customers, how? Topmost thing on my personal wish list, what is the current state of affairs? What is the desired state of affairs? And the how. All right, I'm going to unmute. I'm going to unmute all of you, and I would like you to. I would like you to share with us what you've come up with. Okay. So, does anyone want to have a go?
Oh, I'll have a go.
Awesome.
Okay, then now, the topmost thing on my personal wish list would be to be able to do research on coffee palaces, which is a phenomenon from the 1800s through to about the 1923s.
Right.
Okay, the where is to be able to, like, just put results, but probably to be in a position that I could present at family history societies and things like that about this particular, or these particular things, coffee palaces, and the role that they played in society.
Right.
And the where is, I obviously have to establish the research methods, like creating a database of known coffee palaces and things like that, find out why they exist, and set parameters about where they fit into society, whether they're personal businesses, whether they're, you know, like a result of trying to think what they called it. Anyway, where they were taking people into a safer place away from hotels. It was the alternative to the problems of drink. Anyway, and a few things like that. And there was also bits where you've got total suffrage, you know, like to get suffrage and things there. So it's quite a, yeah. Anyway, it's a lot to do with society.
Sure. And how?
Oh, the how? Oh, that means I need to start how I get my methodology to get the research together to be able to then present it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Any other example from a business perspective?
Can I talk?
Of course, Ashok. Go for it.
Shriram, I have been doing financial advice for last 6 years.
Right.
And investing people's money into other people's fund, you know, the company's fund.
Sure.
So what I am trying to do at the moment, I've already been working on it, but for now, I have come up with a fund. I've come up with a fund name, and I have planned to start this fund, just going through some legal framework, talking to some investors. And so that is the how strategy, talking to experts. And in 12-month period, I would like this fund to be of value of $50 million. And the name of the fund is Fund India. So basically, it will be a fund based in Australia. Yeah, so fund name we have decided it will be like Fund India, and logo and everything has been finalized. Okay. Now we are slowly working on it, but this is I mean, how personal strategy is good there, but there are some legal issues. There are some compliance issues. They're pretty critical. I mean, they're very critical, and finance industry in Australia is highly regulated.
Yep.
So although your chart looks pretty good in 12 months, but somehow we feel that this how time period may go over, you know.
Of course it will. Of course it will. And use the 12 months as a guideline.
Yeah.
You put whatever timeline works for you. But okay, I'm going to bring it back now. So so thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing all of that. So I guess the key takeaway here is, and I want you to be very careful of this, is this one, right? Be clear on the now first, then form a clear where, and then and only then focus on the how. So do not get into how mode if you don't have a clear where. Okay, I know the chart left to right looks like now how where, but it's called now where how for a reason. So please get the where first, and then and only then focus on the how. All right, this is a real example from a client that I worked on. We formed the now first. We understood what the status quo was, what the situation today was. We then formed a 12-month snapshot of what the client wanted it to be on the same parameters. And then we got into how. Only then did we get into how. Okay, to form the 4 main pillars that would help them get from now to where. So I'm going to say it at the risk of repeating, do not get into how mode without getting the where right. Now I'm going to introduce another little framework. It's called BSQ framework. For this, I take you to the events of July 20th, 1969, the famous moon landing. Now I'm not going to get into any controversy theories here. Did it happen? Did it not happen? You know, I have a very simple answer to why it did happen, but I'll share that at the end of this. Otherwise,
sorry for introduction, Shriramji. Are you sending us these slides?
Absolutely. So
okay.
you can absolutely get that. Let me just make sure. Okay, now, before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth, the famous quote by John F. Kennedy in 1961. Now, what that basically means, introduces us, is to the BSQ goals template, which says, first, think big. Okay, first, to think big, define your ultimate goal for your business, a major accomplishment you're after. It can also be a personal goal. Okay. Secondly, you want to then act small. You want to think of the series of milestones you must hit along the way. And then most importantly, you want to move quick. This is very crucial. The timelines that you put into place. This is called the BSQ goals template. B for big, S for small, Q for quick. Okay, very powerful template, one that I've used very successfully for myself. How does the now, where, how, and the BSQ goals template, how do they even relate? Are they different? Not really. The now, where, how helps you get your thinking straight. The BSQ framework helps you do things. Because the where feeds into your think. Okay, this is the big goal. You can call it the big scary goal, the big hairy goal, whatever it is. Okay. Now the how then relates to the act small and the move quick. That's the connection between these two frameworks. And that is how you actually get things done. Now, coming back to the moon landing, which was obviously not a one-person effort, right? It was a team effort. It was a large team of about 400,000 people that made this possible. Okay. But more importantly, let's apply the BSQ framework to the moon landing. Let's think how they might have applied it. So the first thing is, I would like to achieve XYZ by this date. That's very important. Then what are the smaller milestones that you will need to hit in order to realize the think big goal, the big one? And what timelines will you put into place? What date, by which date will you achieve it? Or from which date will you start putting it into place? So the think big goal, I would like to, in JFK's words, land a man on the moon and return him safely to the Earth before the end of 1969, in under 10 years, before the decade is out, okay? What are the smaller goals that they might have come up with? Well, they did. We know that for a fact. The first lunar orbit, Apollo 8. Move quickly, achieve that before December 1968. Put a crewed flight test in the lunar module, put some people into space. That was Apollo 9, right? We needed to get it done by March 1969. Do a dress rehearsal. 15.6 kilometers from the lunar surface is where they went to. That was Apollo 10. May 1969, the clock is ticking. They need to do this before 1970 rolls over. Finally, of course, in July 1969, the historic moon landing, Apollo 11. So this is how this framework would have been applied, had it been applied, okay? So this is a real template from a real client again. Big goal is to generate a certain revenue amount by a certain time frame. And here are the smaller milestones, the smaller goals, the mini goals that they need to hit in order to realize the big one. and the associated move quick timelines for each mini goal. So we're probably not going to do this because we are running a bit behind on time, but I'll send this to you, and I encourage you to do this. In fact, I highly motivate you to do this before the next webinar, so within the next week. And I'd love to hear back from you. So send this back to me if you want to, and I'm happy to review that for you. So from a business perspective, I'd like to increase the number of new customers per month to X by this date. Okay. List the milestones that will help you get there. Put the timelines in for each milestone. Personal objectives. Well, again, look into your personal wish list and see what you'd like to achieve personally and apply the same framework. Okay, to conclude, here are the key takeaways. In the now, where, how framework, ensure that the where is crystal clear before addressing the how. Do not get into how mode before the where is crystal clear. Use the where from the above framework to input into the big goal, the B of the BSQ framework. Okay, the where feeds into the B. And then you use the act small. Remember, BSQ. S and Q are act small and move quick. And use those to inform the how and actually attain the goal. Okay, these are the top 3 takeaways from today's session on goal setting and goal getting, goal attainment. How I can help? Well, I can help you with clarity. If you are after strategic clarity, then we can work through it together. We can do a 60-minute goal analysis session over Zoom with using these 2 frameworks. Okay, I'll make strategic recommendations. I'll give you a report which will cover your goals and recommendations on how you're going to actually achieve it. I usually charge $495 plus GST for that. But wait, there's more. I'm going to put a strike through it, and for a grand total of $0 plus GST, which is still $0. Call me or email me before next Wednesday if you would like to avail this. Okay, so before the next webinar. And actually on that, what is the next webinar on? The next webinar is going to be on using the SWOT to drive decision making. You've all heard of the SWOT analysis, hopefully. If you haven't, it's a wonderful tool, but it has to be used properly. And I'm going to share with you how to use it properly. It's not in the public domain. People always do the SWOT analysis and they scratch their brains and go, SWOT, so what? Okay. This webinar is going to actually give you the aha moments that you've been looking for from the SWOT. Okay, so please attend. We're back to 5 p.m. Next Wednesday. All right, 5 to 5:30 p.m. for SWOT analysis. Okay, do join us. Last words. All right, we started with this, so let's come back to this. You know what happens when people share these amazing stories? 2 things can happen. One, we get very inspired and motivated and filled with drive. And then we go towards our goal, and then we lack the structure and the clarity to get there. Okay, so goal attainment, the formula, I should have put it on the screen, but I'm going to tell you now. Goal attainment is inspiration plus structure, or motivation plus clarity. You need both. So get inspired by all means, but also learn from these people that have put in a lot of structure, a lot of clarity into their process of achieving the goal. The other reaction could be that people get so awestruck going, oh my God, they were extraordinary people. I'm just a mere mortal. Please remember that they are mere mortals like you and I. Okay? We don't have to climb Everest, but we might have a version of it. We might have a summit. We might have a moon landing version of our goal. We might have a 100-meter version of our goal. What is it? Okay? You just need to apply the principles of inspiration, motivation, structure, and clarity to get to it. And I'll tell you why they're mere mortals. I'll leave you with this. Do you think Usain Bolt and Sir Edmund Hillary could have swapped roles? I don't think so. Okay, that's why they're mere mortals. They've chosen a field, they have the aptitude, they have the discipline to achieve their goals. Okay, so I'll leave you with that. Thank you very much. And we did finish sort of 5 minutes over, so my apologies for that. If you have any questions, call me. If you'd like to email me, feel free to email me. I'll be sending this back to all of you. Please do the exercises that I had shown and send them to me. We can have a chat.